Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Live Chat with Josie. Today, I am going to be hosting the mayor of Harare in Zimbabwe, His Lordship Jacob Mafume. He's just been a mayor of the city of Harare, which is the capital city, for around about 3 months. Jacob Mafume is also a member of the opposition party, the MDC, in Zimbabwe. Your Lordship, welcome to Live Chat with Josie.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. Welcome to the viewers that are there, hoping to have a good chat with you all.
All right. So I know you as the mayor. I know you, Jacob Mafume, but many of our viewers might not understand or know how you ended up becoming the mayor of the capital city of Zimbabwe. Such a big responsibility, such a big city. So here on Live Chat with Josie, it is a culture that I'll ask you to introduce yourself. Who exactly is Jacob Mafume?
Well, Jacob Mafume is the son of a peasant farmer, headmaster, a teacher, just an ordinary guy. I happened to read a few books. Having read a few books, I became a lawyer from the University of Zimbabwe, registered with the Law Society of Zimbabwe, practicing as such for the past 20 years as a lawyer in Zimbabwe. Have worked in the NGO sector for a number of years. Have worked with Crisis Coalition Zimbabwe. I've worked in the Prime Minister's office as a Principal Director of Constitutional Affairs, and I've also have had a private law firm, and I've also worked with a number of international organizations, and I joined the MDC, where I became a councillor, and that is the role that I'm currently playing.
Okay, so you joined MDC. Which year did you join MDC, and why did you join MDC? I'm not saying it's a problem. I'm not saying there's an issue, but I just want to know the reasons why you decided to join MDC.
Well, I was a student leader right around about the time the MDC was formed. At the time that the MDC was formed, I was the Secretary General of the Students' Union, that is 1999, of the students, what we call the SEC or the SRC at the University of Zimbabwe. And as a Secretary General at that time, and as a progressive youth, there was only one option, and that is to join MDC, because that was progressive, being led by the labor. It was a coalition of students and the labor movement, and we were opposed to the decay that we saw in ZANU-PF, the corruption, the oppression, and the many crimes that ZANU-PF was committing. It was an anathema at the time when we were student leaders and students for you to desire to join anything else than what we were actually creating. I was part of the formative stages of the MDC. I was in the National Constitutional Assembly, the various task forces and committees. And indeed, when the MDC was formed, the choice was very simple. We had to move in with the progressive, pro-poor and pro-people movement.
Right, so you've been a mayor for just about 3 months, Your Lordship, Jacob Mafume. So tell me, how has it been for you so far? Because already in those 3 months, you've been a naughty boy. You've already been to the college. We call it Chikurubi Maximum Prison College. How has it been for you?
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. You know, we have many challenges. Firstly, the political and contextual environment. This is a place where the police can come and arrest councillors together with journalists, with anything that is breathing in the council chamber. This is a place where in Chitungwiza, councillors were arrested en masse together with their invited guests. In Harare, councillors can be arrested en masse with so such is the development and the political development that our country has, that the abnormal is normalized. And we have many service delivery challenges that we have to overcome. We have to deal with the water situation, the road situation, the economic situation, and basically people's pockets are not so deep, and it's very difficult for a city, for the residents to sustain a city as big as Harare. And what one finds, the contradictions emanate in this weird behavior where people think nothing of taking a mayor and throwing him in a prison for allegations that have not been proved, and under the guise that a mayor will abscond his city because he has been accused of a crime. The presumption of innocence is not treated as seriously as it should, despite it being given prominence in the Constitution. So being a mayor by some judicial officers is seen as a flight risk. It's not seen as a fact that you've got your roots in the country and you never want to leave the country because you have a city to develop. So those are the contradictions that you face when you take office in Zimbabwe, and it's interesting. We have to find a way of working together, a way of implementing and make people live better now, not tomorrow.
All right. So I picked some statements from what you said. You said obviously there's lack of funds in the coffers as you are the mayor. You speak of arrests. You also speak of a lot of issues that are happening surrounding your office. Let's talk about the arrests. What exactly is behind the arrests? Why are councillors being arrested? Are you saying it's only MDC councillors that are being arrested, or any councillor is arrested?
Well, it's only MDC councillors that are being arrested. Have you heard of any ZANU-PF councillor who has been arrested? They control the rural councils. They are the ones who have taken farms. They've taken bigger pieces of land. They've got farms to their children, farms as government officials. That would have been a conflict of interest. Basically, a government started a program of distributing farms and distributed the farms to themselves and their families. Yet, and those are bigger pieces of land that are measured in hectares, not in square meters. And no one has been arrested for that. Children get their farms, relatives got their farms, government officials got the farms. No one has been questioned. Rural councillors got their farms. The only people who are being questioned are the urban councillors that belong to the MDC. It is trying to create a moral equivalence of some sort, or a perverse smear campaign that has no basis except the political side that you are on. Yes, I won't be able to comment specifically on allegations that are leveled against myself because the matter is still sub judice. Safe to say, as a matter of public record, I have strenuously denied those allegations, and they are false and so forth. But I won't comment further to avoid being in contempt of court. But if you look at the peculiar nature of the arrest, they have specifically targeted MDC councillors for arrest, as it were.
All right. So some people I've spoken to, or when I follow what people are saying or are saying on social media, some people are saying MDC is just like crybabies, that you're just crybabies. Everything you complain about it. What can you say about that?
We are not crybabies. We are basically living what you call it a democratic nightmare, as it were. Where in the world does the council chamber get invaded by policemen with AK-47s to arrest the councillors and the journalists en masse? Where in the world do you arrest a whole city council of the capital city, where a business of the city is being discussed, and the councillors are treated like a gathering of the mafia or a terrorist enclave? It doesn't happen anywhere in a civilized society. Where in the world are mayors and you having a position of influence considered to be a flight risk? Murderers and robbers get bail, while it is difficult for people in positions to get bail, particularly if they are oppositions or activists. You know what Hopel has gone through, you know what Job Scala went through, you know what Tendai Beat went through, and so forth. We are not crying. It is the abnormal
So
nature.
Are you saying Hopewell is MDC?
No. I said activists and MDC.
Okay, activists. Okay.
Yeah, activists and MDC. The treatment is the same. If you are a critic of the current government, you are treated as if you are a pariah. You are treated as if at times an enemy of the state. You are treated as there's a conflation between the state and the ruling party. such that if you are a critical of it or seen as a critic, whether you're in opposition or you're an activist or you're a lone ranger, you are given the same treatment that is given to any critics of the government. And that is abnormal. And we cannot normalize it. We are not crying babies. Pointing out the abnormal is not being a crying baby, but to simply say we want to live in a society that respects the rights of the people, that follows due process, that does not punish before someone has been found guilty. Pre-trial incarceration in Zimbabwe is punishment. The conditions are bad. They are crowded. And in many ways, if you are at a certain, if you have health problems, it is virtually a death sentence in terms of the COVID crisis that we have. You are put in with 70 people, poor clothing, poor diet, poor ventilation, and you are supposed, the masks, it's pointless to wear them on. And if you are infected, God help you. There is no way that one can say that is a proper working justice system, and that when you raise that, you can be called a crybaby. We need, living in a country is not a survival series. We do not volunteer for a reality show of where you are supposed to survive, like in those reality shows of modern days. Living in a city is not a reality survival series show. It is actually something where you have to live, enjoy, and live well.
So when you applied to become mayor of Harare, I mean, I'm sure you had your own manifesto in your head. What are those things that you really wanted to change?
What we needed to do is to do the simple things right. I do not have big dreams. I do not have an idea that I can make miracles, but I want to create a city that is a smart city in terms of our manifesto. That a city where you take your rubbish on time, where you recycle your waste, a city where you bring the water into the tap, a city where you repair a pothole when it's due for repairs, a city that is safe for the residents, a city where you can move without congestion, a city where the normal happens as in any other city. I do not want to create a better city for the people in their minds in 2025 or 2030 or vision this or vision that. I just feel that Zimbabweans have to do the simple things right. We just have to have our ducks in a row, act like what we are doing is not rocket science. There are bigger cities that are able to give water to citizens. There are bigger cities that are able to give shelter to their residents. There are bigger cities that are able to educate and treat their citizens. So it's not rocket science. All we need to do is to be able to copy the practices that are there and then do them right so that people can appreciate the city. A city is an artificial organism. As an artificial organism, its health is dependent on how you behave as residents, how you treat it, how you value it. And as long as you are able to do the simple things right, you will be able to create a city that is able to provide an ambience and able to provide a quality of life that you can be proud of.
Yes, but you're talking of the quality of life that we can be proud of. I grew up in Harare. That's where I was born. But when you look at the state of the infrastructure, the state of the city of Harare is deplorable. Nothing seems to be functional anymore, the Lordship. And I think MDC has been at the helm of this for the past 20 years or so. And many people say MDC is to blame. MDC would say ZANU-PF is to blame. But let me just ask this. Would this be the state of the nation, the whole nation, if MDCA had the mandate to rule Zimbabwe?
We have actually saved the cities as the MDC. Remember, everything that ZANU-PF has controlled 100% has collapsed. CSC has collapsed. The National Railways has collapsed. The farming has collapsed. Almost everything that ZANU-PF controls 100% has collapsed. The road infrastructure nationally has collapsed. The fact that we still have cities is partly due to the fact that we have been the barrier to the destructive tendencies of ZANU-PF. And one of the things that people should note is that devolution has not been implemented in Zimbabwe. We have fought for devolution all our life as the MDC. Why I say so? To buy a pen, I have to ask for permission from the president's office. To buy a tissue paper, I have to ask for permission from the president's office, which is called the procurement board, which is presiding in the president's office.
So you don't have your own. So you don't have your own standalone budget as the mayor. You're just like a stooge there.
We're just like a stooge. I will tell you that for me to procure anything, we present our papers to the procurement board, which is centered and based in the president's office. To employ senior staff, to be able to hire senior staff, I have to ask for permission from the Minister of Local Government. I have to ask him if I can fire a town clerk. I can hire all grade 3 employees to grade 1. To do a budget, I have to ask for permission from the Minister of Local Government. So if I do a budget, I first send it to the Minister of Local Government. If they do not agree with it, then that budget will not be passed. The ridiculousness of it all is that I have to ask for budget approval from a member of the party that I defeated. Okay, so I have to ask him to do my job well. He has to approve my budget. Okay, so now how do you work on that? The issue of roads, they have taken vehicle licenses to an animal called Zinara. As you know, Zinara is the one that was buying aeroplanes. These are for motorists of Harare. We have over 800,000 vehicles in Harare. They pay the bulk of vehicle licenses and it goes to Zinara. What does Zinara do? Today or just this past few years, it has been saying it wants to build a road from Karoi to Vic Falls for the animals to move freely, I suppose. We don't even control the vehicle licenses. So with all these issues where the devolution framework has not been put in place, and also I am not an executive mayor. This is a city of close to 3 million people, and it's run by a ceremonial mayor on a voluntary basis. I'm still the last of the ceremonial mayors in the world in terms of managing a big city like Harare. So I do not have executive powers. The executive powers are with the town clerk, who is the accounting officer, who is appointed with the permission of the Minister of Local Government. So they've made sure that they have not implemented the devolution plans in government. So it is incorrect to say that the cities have been run by the MDC. Look at the issues around even land, the cooperatives we are talking about. We as the city do not have a relationship with cooperatives. The cooperatives are managed under the Ministry of Social Welfare or some such other ministry, which gives them licenses and which allows them to get land. And these cooperatives are licensed there, are regulated there, and are not regulated by the city council, like what we would do with individuals and other companies. And they are then unleashed to the unsuspecting public, and we have no control over them. The last dam in Harare was built in 1976. That's Lake Manyami. And these dams were designed to deal with a population of 1 million people. So when we got independence, government has concentrated in building dams in areas where people don't live. So the dams that they've built are being inhabited by crocodiles and illegal fishermen. They are not even doing anything. But where there's a huge concentration of people, the government has not invested in the building of dams. And before you ask, as Harare, we are not allowed to build dams on water without the permission of the president. By law, all the water in Zimbabwe, underground, over land, belongs to the president. He is the one who can dam it, who will give you permission to dam it or to undam it. And that has not been done. We have not built Kunji Dam, we have not built Musami Dam, we have not built Muda Dam for Chitungwiza. We have not connected the dams that move from Rusape to Marondera, which we could have connected to Rua through canals. Now we have all the water coming from the dams going to Mozambique unused. And the residents of Harare do not have water because the water is managed by Zima. So yes, we have ceremonial authority, but the executive authority resides with our friends in Munumutapa.
All right. So you mentioned about cooperatives. those are land barons. This is actually the reason why I had to look for you, the Lordship Mayor of Harare, Jacob Mafume. I mean, housing for all is very. I mean, it's a necessity. I mean, you know that, but clearly the recent demolition of houses has proved that the people no longer matter. You and I have a shelter. We are sleeping under a roof, but we have families in Harare right now in Budiriro. They're homeless. It's raining. This is during a pandemic. There's been recent demolitions of houses. Who is behind this?
I've been on record on Twitter and on formal, and before I was arrested, I had put it on record that we need to hold demolitions in abeyance while least we deal with the structural issues that caused the people to be there. I hold the firm view that these people in Budiriro are victims of land barons, but we as local government and central government cannot re-victimize the victims. What goes without saying is that as central government and as local government, we have the duty to protect our citizens from whatever. We are not innocent bystanders as our citizens are being victimized by land barons and are being victimized by criminals. We should create a framework where we nip this in the bud and not allow people to be victimized. What is the chronology of these things is that these settlements were done under the cooperatives era, which I was talking about. That were done about 10, 15 years ago, where there was a replica.
By who?
The cooperatives were by the land barons, and these were done by ZANU-PF linked cooperatives. Remember, all these cooperatives are named after ZANU-PF luminaries.
Okay. So are you the one? So are you the one now trying to clean up this mess? I mean, is it now MDC or is it you, the mayor?
No, it's not MDC.
Demolitions?
No, it's not MDC. Notwithstanding that, notwithstanding that they are there, or that they are ZANU-PF, they are still Zimbabwean citizens, right? And therefore, we have a duty to protect anybody who is ZANU-PF and anybody who is MDC. We cannot discriminate in relation to housing. So we will not do demolitions and ask which party you belong to or where you come from. You are a Zimbabwean citizen and you are a resident of Harare. So we have to deal with everyone in terms of fairness and what needs to be done. We as a party cannot discriminate. We need to deal with everyone. So we think that we cannot move on this issue on a blame game. There were court orders, there was the deputy sheriff, there was council involvement, there was police involvement, the deputy sheriff was there. So moving the blame around will not help the victims in Budiriro. What we need to do is to help people understand and
who is the complainant
on this.
Yes. For it to become a court case, sheriff.
For it to become a court case, the city of Harare is the one in charge of development control of Harare. So the city of Harare will be the plaintiff, and the defendant will be anyone or the residents or the cooperative that is there.
Okay. So city of Harare is under you as the mayor. Yes. I know, I understand. Of course, there are some stuff that you have to go through.
So city of Harare, when we get court orders, what we need then to do is to deal with issues that relate to how the city develops. We have to deal with well, as the city, there is no way that we are able to enforce anything without the issue of the courts and the sheriff and the police and all other organs of the government. So what happens here is that every organ of the government of necessity becomes involved. But what we have to do as organs of the government is that when you get a court order, It is not a license for you to implement it as cruelly as possible. You can implement the court order in a manner that is friendly, in a manner that is humane, in a manner that respects the human rights of the people, so that people will not be affected. And you can also deal with the timing. You can do it at a time when it does not have maximum impact on the people. And also the Constitution sometimes requires that when you move people, you need to give them an alternative. You cannot remove them and make them internally displaced.
Okay. So you knew about these demolitions were coming up. You tried to stop them. You say you were on record on Twitter and everywhere. You say that not this time. And it happened. I think it happened when you were actually behind bars, true?
Yes.
So now what happens to these people that are homeless?
No, we need to help them. We have worked with the Civil Aviation Authority, Civil Protection Authority. We need to give them tent. We need to give them food. We need to come up with a plan as to how we go forward so that they don't become victims again. We don't re-victimize them. We need to go after the land barons. We need to have a proper development plan, look at alternatives, look at how we can assist them, whether the place can be regularized. If it can't, where can they go? If it can be regularized, it's not a school site or a hospital, we need them to be able to deal with those issues.
Okay, so, this is a very complex situation. We need to help them. We need to do this. We need to do that. When? Who is going to do this?
We as a council have a duty. We are
Have
the
you
ones
started
that...
planning?
Yeah, we've started planning. The town clerk and the social welfare guys are there. They are dealing with that issue. They are helping the people. We need to assist them. We need to get them to handle this issue in a humane manner. We need to be able to get to a situation where we are able to deal with a variety of the issues that crop up: need for food, need for shelter, need for papers, need for accountability. And as a council, we are going to do our part in terms of making sure that we protect the residents of Budiriro.
Are there any more demolitions coming up?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you? I said, are there any more demolitions coming up?
Well, what we've done is that we have said they will be held in abeyance. Yes, we cannot go against court orders, but we hold these things in abeyance whilst we look at the situation. We will talk to the Ministry of Local Government to create a commission under the Urban Councils Act that will deal with the issue of irregular settlements, that will be able to come up with a better policy framework. Only then can we then have a way forward that is consultative and that is everyone on board.
But are demolitions the solution, Mayor Jacob Mafume?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying.
Unless these properties are on top of a sewage or whatever, but if not, can't you find these people instead of demolition? You know how painful it is to build.
That's why I'm saying that we need a policy framework that allows for those that can be regularized to be regularized. But not all can be regularized. Others are on top of sewer, others are on a road servitude, and others are on underground pipes. So we will not be able to save those ones.
How long will the framework take? Because before you know it again, you see these people going around, going around to demolition.
We need to do it within the next 2 months. I think we need to have been able to come up with a framework. Of course, we have to consult central government, but we should be able to have come up with a framework for all those things.
All right, I'm just going back now to your office as the mayor. Do you think the people you applied to become a mayor, did you know about the problems that the office holds?
Yes, we knew about the problems that the office holds, but this is our country, this is our city. We have to assist in a way that we can, and consulting the residents, consulting the stakeholders, together, I'm sure we should be able to come up with a solution.
So, in other words, resigning is not an option for you. I mean, rather than allow your name and image to be ruined by your inability to function properly in the office you are voted into, because, like we said earlier, you're just a stooge. You can't. Your hands are tied. So, how do you
we are
intend to
Hararians.
proceed?
We are Hararians, we are Zimbabweans. We work within the framework that we have, we develop it. We work together, we look at the constraints, see how we can come to an understanding. Sewage smells for everyone. Water is problematic for everyone. It knows no party. And on issues that we can agree about service provision, we should be able to come to an understanding and find a way of working with our various powers and our leverages. Even if one is lower power and the other is a higher power, we need to find a way of working to deal with the common comforts of the citizens.
All right, as someone who's been with MDC since its inception, I mean, do you think MDC is really an ideal opposition to stand against the ruling party ZANU-PF that has been in control of Zimbabwe since 1980?
Yes, it is. We remember we've been in government before and we improved the lives of the people. During the time when we were together with ZANU-PF, we made the quality of life better. There was promise in Zimbabwe. Now that we are not there, the quality of life did not improve. So we should be able to do things together.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Your Lordship, Mayor of Harare, Jacob Mafume, for joining me here on Live Chat with Josie, where we're tackling the issue of demolitions in Harare, Zimbabwe. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Have a good one.